Evergreen Show, taking your business from seed to sapling to towering giant. With your hosts, best-selling author and business growth experts Noah Fleming and Shawn Veltman. This is the only show that gives you proven, pragmatic, and immediately applicable business growth strategies every week in 15 minutes or less. Here's Noah and Shawn.
Well, hello, everybody. We're back. Welcome to the Evergreen Show. This is Noah Fleming with my co-host, Mr. Shawn Veltman. Shawn, come on, give me the scoop. Where are you today? Tell me you're somewhere warm.
I always get jealous when you ask that, Noah. You're always just getting back from your jet-setting adventures, and I'm sitting here freezing. So tell us about, let me live vicariously through your recent warmth.
Well, sure. Good question. So, in fact, my recent warmth was not that warm, but it's what we're going to talk about today. So I just returned from the fabulous and magical Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, where we took the kids for a little surprise getaway the first week of January. But you know what happened, Shawn, was we actually took the cold weather with us. So we got to Florida and they had the coldest first week of January in 17 years. Okay. It snowed one of the mornings. We were there at 3 in the morning. And the Disney monorail was frozen one morning. So it really fit in with the theme of Frozen, one of my kids' favorite movies, but it was definitely cold. We did get some nice weather. But anyways, as I alluded to, we are going to talk about Disney today because the question that comes up for me is Disney still the happiest place on earth? Now, Shawn, I hadn't been to Disney since I was a kid. Since I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And one of the things that I was planning on doing this year was actually taking a group of executives down to Disney and spending a day or two there to learn about some of the things they do, because it is still known as one of the top places in the world that business leaders can learn from. They run their own customer experience institutes. They run customer experience leadership summits. They do all sorts of things that people can go and learn about the way they do things. And so I tried to have a very critical eye during my visit, and boy, oh boy, did I take away a lot of notes. I'm still digesting here, but I've got a lot to talk about with this.
I'm looking forward to hearing about it because I as well, I haven't been to Disney in a long while, but I've read more in the past decade or so about all of the minute work that goes into them creating the best experiences or shifting things or reframing things in order to create the best possible experience for everybody in the park. So I'm looking forward to hearing what your critical eye picked up there.
Well, my critical eye is this. So first of all, my wife is a teacher. So our times to travel as a family together are often, not really the most ideal times. We've got spring break, March break, first week of January. And so we're going when the crowds are at peak levels. And so my biggest takeaway, first of all, was, holy cow, this place is busy. If you do not like people, if you do not like crowds, this is not the place to be the first week of January. It was beyond crazy. But, to me, it wasn't as magical as I expected. Now let me refrain and add a few things here. It was magical in my kids' eyes. Everything about it was magical to watch them interact with characters, to see how they enjoyed the place. But there was a lot I felt that could have been done better. And so I'm going to give you two sort of examples here that I think are sort of interesting because they're both brands that are known for, again, a great customer experience. But we stayed at the Four Seasons, which is a new hotel on the Disney property. It's not a Disney hotel, but it's there right in the hubbub. Now, the Four Seasons to me creates a magical experience, and they do it really well. We've stayed at a few of these hotels. They're always hassle-free. There's always a very personalized experience. So I think to the point of checking in where, they mentioned my daughter's allergies right up front. I didn't have to bring any of this up, and everything was just seamless and flawless. They whisked us away to our rooms. Our bags were already there. The whole process took minutes, even though it seemed like it could be something that would take a long time. Now contrast that to the next day, trying to get to Disney and trying to get into the parks. It was a very time-consuming, laborious process. should I say that took away from the magic of the experience? I don't know. I'm probably being a little bit hard on them, but it didn't feel like it had that same allure. The people, on the other hand, the people at Disney are great. They're nice, they're friendly. They call them cast members, right? And we've often talked about treating your own employees like your cast, especially in service businesses, because this is your cast. They're there to essentially perform and provide a great experience for your customers. What are your feelings on, calling your employees like a cast or treating them that way and using the idea of experience choreography as a way to think about your customer experience?
I think it's extremely powerful. I've seen it used to great effect in businesses that couldn't be more different from Disney. And one of the things that it really does is it makes it real, this idea that everybody in your business is there to serve your clients. If you're part of a cast, if you're there to create a great experience for the clients, and you're referring to your people internally as cast members, and you're helping them understand what is the time that they're on or they're performing versus the time that they're out of the client's eyes, it's an amazing distinction that actually creates a sense of people asking the question, how can I make a better experience for our clients? I think it's incredibly powerful.
Right. So again, I said, I think they have a little work to do, but overall, that's being a little harsh. Let me talk about the good things now, because I think I'm being harsh primarily because of the crowds and the number of people there. Here are the things that I thought were incredibly impressive about Disney, about the business, and about the parks. First of all, the bathroom. So you and I have talked about bathrooms before. The bathrooms were always impeccable. So you got to think with, 100,000 people, which is capacity for the Magic Kingdom in a day, walking through that place. I never went in a bathroom once where I saw a garbage overflowing, where I saw paper towels on the floor, where I saw wet counters. Everything was impeccable. That to me was incredibly impressive from an impression point of view. It was that there was always somebody paying attention to the small details. Now, here's something else that's really cool. When the parks opened, it was almost like there was a choreography to the way that they did things, meaning you could kind of see beyond the gates, people walking around, people getting things ready. But as soon as the parks opened, it was showtime. You instantly saw none of that. There was nobody rushing around trying to make sure things were ready, if we could open in time. And I've worked in business, or I've seen service businesses where they open the doors and there's still this rush to get the tables set and get everything ready. Right? Disney, when they open, it's go time. And so I think that's important for us to think about, that when we open up shop, when we start answering the phones, it's go time. We're on. And all of these impressions add to the customer experience, and they matter. Anything you want to add to that?
I actually want to go back to something that you said near the start of the discussion, because I think it's a point that we really need to hammer home. And you said, there was some stuff that for you wasn't so magical, but for your kids, the entire experience was magical. And I think that I'd like to get your take on that understanding of who is the real client, who is the real customer. Because in this case, I would argue that your kids are the customer of Disney. The product that you're taking away from it is the look on their faces, those memories. You've written wonderfully about this in some of your earlier books. But Disney's recognized that their real customer isn't the one who has the wallet. Their real customer is the kids, and the walking wallets that are the parents behind them are going to fund everything else.
You're absolutely right. And so again, I'm going to keep reiterating that I'm probably being a little bit harsh when I said, well, there's a few things they need to work on. There's a lot that they're doing right. And so you're absolutely bang on there. The real customer is the kids. And I like the way you put it, the walking wallets behind them. We're eager to pull out the credit cards and swipe and buy, because they knew how to make those customers feel special at all times. And so you wanted to extend that feeling. You wanted to continue to get more of that. Of course, the other powerful lesson there, I think, is that Disney is not afraid to take money. And so, this is something everybody knows, but we've talked about businesses before that make it so hard to buy something from them, that make it so hard to actually give them your money, right? We've written posts before called, "Why won't you take my money?" Right? Because businesses seem to try and make it difficult to buy. Disney makes it incredibly easy to buy, to the point you don't even need to carry a credit card. You can just swipe this little band on your hand. Of course, every ride exits through a gift shop, right? And so I think last I heard, one business expert said, Disney in Florida generates more revenue per head in one signal day than the city of Las Vegas. Think about that for a minute. Pretty special, pretty impressive. And so it's just, you're absolutely right. I think, the wow moments in particular are pretty special. So the parade, for example, it's again, just, I don't even know. I'm kind of speechless right now. There's a lot good. There's a lot bad. There's things I think they could improve and do better. But overall, I guess, the reality is they are doing a lot right. And so as hard as I'm trying to be contrarian and picky about Disney and their experience, damn you, Disney, you do it well.
They're just too darn good. So let's take it another direction then. And what do you think are some universally applicable things? I know we've already mentioned a couple of them. But if you were going to give Disney advice to a non-Disney business, which is most of our clients, what do you think is the most powerful thing you picked up that any business could apply from this Disney corpus of tactics and tricks and strategies and just the way they approach the world?
Great question. So again, a lot of things I've already mentioned, but a lot of the things we write about and talk about all the time. Personalize the customer experience, know your customer. So I mentioned the hotel, the Four Seasons, they did a great job of understanding who we were and what was the type of experience we wanted to have. They knew about us, our likes, our dislikes. They had some history on us. Most of us have this on our clients. And so to take a few minutes and to understand what's important to your clients is incredibly important. The next point I would say is, taking away the hassle for your customers, making things as simple as possible for them to get help, get support, to buy something goes a long way. And then, of course, something we continue to rant on all the time is that impressions matter. And so these little things, like, the cleanliness of a bathroom, our famous one-ply toilet paper story that we are asked to repeat everywhere we go by clients. And, I'm constantly asked to tell that story again, right? But this idea that if a company has skimped out in one area, like the toilet paper, where else are they cutting corners? And so these are the types of impressions you need to be aware of. And then, of course, going the extra mile. So let me give you a specific example of how Disney did that. As you can imagine, 1 million people are coming into Disney with strollers for children. And so what they do is they have what's called stroller parking. And so everybody just sort of rams their strollers in there before they head on a ride. And it's this great big jumble of strollers. There was this really magical thing that happened when you were inside this 3-minute ride. You would come out and every stroller would be perfectly organized. The perfectly most straightest lines of strollers you have ever seen. And they would all be organized and sectioned. And so you could just walk in and instantly find what you were looking for. But yet 3 minutes before it was chaos. And so there was this sort of wow moment as a parent going, how did they do that? Who did that? Right? And so these are the types of things I think we need to think about as companies is, are our teams working together? Are our people working together to deliver this great experience? So it's not just about having a sales department and a marketing department or a customer team or an engineering team. It's about everybody working together to try and provide this congruent, great experience for your customers that makes them go, wow, right? Like, I've never seen a janitorial supplies company do this for me before, but wow, that was pretty special. And it can be done by those types of organizations. So to me, these are all really valuable things.
I think it's a wonderful example. And there's a couple things that I just want to unpack from that because it's really serving triple duty as you explain it. So, the first is obviously it's wonderful for the parents because they say, oh, who did this? Who brought our strollers back? It makes it easy for you. It creates this, this magical transition. It's like the fairy godmother came and waved the wand and undid the mess. But the other thing that it does that might be a little less obvious is it makes it really easy for you to get off the ride and go and buy something, go to the next ride, to go to the next area to buy in a good mood. And, by doing this, it just completely facilitates what we've called before the greased chute, right? How do you get from A to credit card as quickly and seamlessly as possible? And this is one area that they must have identified. How many times would they have had to have seen families or parents struggling to get the strollers out or to get out of that chaos when they realized we can pay one of our cast members to do that, and it will generate a lot higher revenue by getting them to the next gift shop that much more quickly. If we can squeeze in one more gift shop visit, then we've paid that, the employee who does that that organizing for the next week.
Exactly true. So again, let's go back to where I started here. What wasn't that magical? Well, as I said, the crowds, the people, it's busy, it's overwhelming. What does make it magical? The people, the people inside that work really hard to make sure that those impressions count, that those impressions matter, that they create that wow experience. And I hate that phrase, Shawn, the wow experience thing, but they do it so well. But I think all of that aside is that they don't forget that they're a business and they're there to make money and they're there to generate revenue and they're there to extract dollars out of these poor parents' pockets. And they do it so remarkably well that we can't not be impressed by that. So I guess, I'm trying to think of what's a good challenge to leave our people with here today. I can think of a couple. I'm sure you've got one. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first and then you can tack on to it. So the challenge that I would suggest for everybody is identify one area in your business where you're doing something that's making it hard for your clients to buy. Maybe it's that you don't have an online payment option. Maybe it's that you force them to call in and read a credit card number, or you've got a long procurement process or whatever. Find one area that's making it hard for somebody to buy and put the resources, put the time, put the thought into fixing that. Untangle those strollers in the Disney vernacular.
I like that challenge. I don't have much to add to that except, again, pay attention to the impressions, pay attention to the small things, and remember that you can treat your business, your organization like a show. And when the phones start ringing, when customers start coming in, when the emails start coming, you're on. And so this isn't the time to be getting your ducks in a row. This is the time to be driving that experience to make sure that it's always pleasant and the customer always feels special. So you've got the challenge today. I think that's a good one. I'm happy to talk more about Disney. I'm sure we will in the coming months as I'm only a day out of it right now, and I've got to break it down and really think about what are those things that I would advise Disney to fix, because there are some things, but overall they really do a great job. It's a special place, and I think as business leaders we can learn from Disney, and we can certainly learn from how they're able to extract more money than the city of Las Vegas on a day, which to me is pretty darn impressive. So, anything else today, Shawn?
I think that covers it beautifully, and I look forward to our next discussion.
All right, folks, so you've got the challenge. Remember, review us on iTunes if you enjoyed the show. Share it with colleagues. Definitely subscribe to the Tuesday Tidbit from my website, noahfleming.com. And you can always hit the contact button and get in touch with Shawn and I, and we'll be glad to get back to you. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to join us each and every week for another great episode of The Evergreen Show with your hosts, Noah Fleming and Shawn Veltman. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review, and we'll catch you next time on The Evergreen Show.